Does anyone still remember the post that Zebec made around a year ago talking about Zebec AI? Well, I do. Nothing I say is financial advice, but why do I think it matters, especially now that we're a year removed from that post? Well, it's because I think Zebec, in terms of a project, sometimes is overlooked, that it's even focused on AI. And I'll talk about the price later on in the video when it comes to ZBCN and what I hypothetically maybe see it, in my perspective, maybe doing later. But actually, when I take a look at something like AI. Let's just take this into consideration when it comes to the global blockchain AI market. According to President's research, at least according to a report that they did back in July in 2025, they said that the global blockchain AI market was valued at around 550 million in 2024, and how by 2034 they expect the market to reach around 4.3 billion. The thing is this, that's just a projection, right? We're not in 2034, there's no way for me to know that. However, I think this kind of showcases how some entities out there kind of realize where AI may be heading when it comes to this space, in particular when it comes to projects that have a blockchain sort of aspect, right? And the thing is, Zebec, one of its focuses is literally AI-based PayFi. So, sure, it's not going to be able to become number one within this space, but still, it has an aspect of AI. Now, granted, it hasn't done the best job talking about their focus on AI. They could probably improve that though, but you know what? Whatever, it's kind of irrelevant anyways. I still think that Zebec having that vibe, I still like it nonetheless. Now, the thing is this, ZBCN as of right now is officially below 300 million in terms of market cap yet again. Is this a concern for me? Well, with around 90,000 holders, not really, because I feel like a lot of altcoins are also having a pullback. Take a look at XCN, right? Zebec's closest competitor. How is that doing? It's also not doing the best. In the grand scheme of things, if we compare the peak in which ZBCN reached in 2025 compared to the peak that XCN reached in 2025, and we compare the percentage of decrease they've had from those moments, again, ZBCN and XCN compared to their peak again in 2025, whereas compared to right now, the pullback has been a lot more drastic when it comes to XCN. That's just simply the case. Why? Well, I think because personally for me, when I take a look at ZBCN and its holders, I think in some cases, it gives me more of this vibe where even though it is an altcoin, maybe the movements might not be as random as something like XCN, because if something like Circle allegedly holds a significant amount of ZBCN circles, the creator of USDC, by the way, doesn't that by default sort of give a little bit more of a buffer, right? As opposed to something like XCN. This is the way I take a look at it. But don't get me wrong, I'm still a fan of both, but I'm just saying, if I take a look at Solana Ventures being a backer when it comes to Zebec, I think that right there may also indirectly give the project a little bit more of a stable sort of vibe when compared to something like maybe Onyx. The thing is this, XCN, as of right now, has a pretty decent amount of holders, much like ZBCN, but it has a lot more though, right? XCN has around 144,000 holders, almost 145,000 actually. ZBCN still around 90,000. ZBCN has way less holders than XCN, but what it lacks in quantity, it makes up for in the hypothetical quality, because ZBCN has more recognizable holders, like for instance Circle, the creator of USDC, even though XCN just has way more holders as of right now. But it makes sense, right? I mean, XCN has had more historical popularity, even though the pullback is actually a lot more when it comes to compared to ZBCN, and also the market cap is actually lower than ZBCN as of right now, despite not too long ago having a higher market cap than ZBCN. So I think ZBCN, sure, it maybe hasn't reached the heights in which I've seen XCN historically, at least in 2025 reach, but I still like the vibe overall because it has an aspect of Solana and also an aspect of AI. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Onyx also has an aspect of AI, and sort of like they're kind of trying to emulate Zebec a little bit in my perspective. Like for instance, Onyx, they're talking about cards and all this, which is nothing really that I think like new, but a lot of the things that they're kind of focused on sort of mirrors Zebec a little bit, but it is what it is, right? One's McDonald's, one's KFC. That's my perspective, right? Tomato, tomato. But I don't mind though. I'm still a fan. But at 10 cents, when it comes to ZBCN, I mean, I get it. People are like, Why would anyone even think about that? Well, I still think about that. We're still around 34.5 times lower than that, though. But my perspective is this. When I take a look at, for instance, within the space of global trade and finance, historically, there's only pretty much been two, I think, very famous players, which is Ripple and Stellar. But there hasn't really been this moment yet where there's an altcoin season, in my perspective, where the alternatives really had their time to shine. Because I've seen XDC have somewhat of time to shine. So arguably, maybe that's like number 3 within that space. But I've never seen number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7 really have their time to shine. Number 4 being, I think, ZBCN, number 5, XCN, 6, XPR, and then 7, Swiftcoin. I just haven't really seen those other alternatives really have their time to shine. Now, it's only time will tell type of scenario because I don't think I've seen an altcoin season this time around during this cycle, but at the same time as well, I have not forgotten about Zebec and its fundamental qualities in my perspective. So, yeah, sure, taking a look at a post that they made around a year ago, people are like, who cares about what they did around a year ago? That's irrelevant. But I think it's relevant actually because it showcases a focus that they have. And sure, that kind of narrative as of right now may not be as positive, but imagine if there was an altcoin season, right? All of this stuff right here, like being focused on AI and all this, that won't really matter right now, but it could hypothetically matter if there was an altcoin season, right? Maybe, in my perspective. So the thing is, when I take a look at Zebec's vibe overall, I still like it because I just feel like it doesn't really lose out to its closest competitor, which is Onyx. It would be a different case if Onyx was just greatly overtaking Zebec in terms of popularity and also in terms of the fundamentals and all this, but they're a little bit even. Like, it's not like too majorly different. Sure, XCN has achieved a little bit more, historically speaking, especially in 2025, but it's not like it's too much different, right? Like 2025, we saw XCN reach around $1 billion in terms of market cap. ZBCN was around 500 million. So it's not like it's such a major difference. It's just around 2 times different. But then the thing is, actually, ZBCN as of right now has a higher market cap than XCN. So my perspective is that I'm still not concerned when it comes to Zebec. Personally, for me, I'm not telling anyone to do anything. And also on top of that, I still like the vibe overall. And as long as Solana is a pretty relevant layer 1 blockchain, as long as that still has sort of mainstream relevance, I'm still a fan of Zebec because it does have an aspect of Solana. And Solana, historically, it's been known for memes and all this, but if there was an actual altcoin season and people started focusing on projects that actually have utility, right? Projects that have an aspect of Solana that actually have the fundamentals and the actual good use case, ZBCN just by default, because there isn't even that many, it might hypothetically have more of that concentration of attention, right? Because Solana isn't necessarily a home of many projects out there that have such a tremendous use case in my perspective. There's some, but I don't think it's like known for that, right? It's more known for memes and all this. So I still like Zebec's vibe overall. And Zebec, I think even in Solana, isn't really under such stiff competition. And also in the global trade and finance space, it's not even under that much stiff competition either. We're talking about pretty much just competing against Onyx. And the thing is, when it comes to Zebec, I just like its positioning as of right now. Had Zebec existed 5 years later or 10 years later, then the timing wouldn't have been too good in my perspective. But I like it as of right now a lot better because it's at a time when there really isn't that many utility-driven projects that are that popular when it comes to having an aspect of Solana. And also on top of that, in the global trade and finance space, there just hasn't been that many famous projects yet as of right now within this space. So I do like kind of the timing when it comes to Zebec's existence. This is my perspective. However, this is only time will tell type of scenario. I haven't seen an altcoin season, but I'm still waiting. I'm still here. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. But feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. And feel free to like the video if you liked it. I'd also greatly appreciate that. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll see y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.